Welcome to our YouTube channel.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ralph.
And we're sharing our week-by-week pregnancy update videos with you guys here on this channel.
And we also have a blog, fitpregnancyandbeyond.com, so check that out too.
So today we're going to kick things off and just give you guys our story. Basically how we got pregnant, what we did. It wasn't all smooth sailing. Yes, and just kind of let you guys in on where that all began in our journey to our miracle baby that we have now. So I would say probably about last year we started really talking about it. And, you know, we'd kind of like gone back and forth with if we wanted to have a family or not, if we were ready for that, which I don't think you're ever ready for that. And we decided like, okay, this was going to be the year, like, let's do it. And honestly, yeah, go ahead.
Well, you decided, we both decided, and you said, well, if we're going to do this, we might as well get this done right and just knock this out and not play around.
Yeah, I'm kind of a control freak, and so I'm like, well, if we're going to do this, like, let's do this. So
no complaints here.
So went all out. I haven't been on birth control in years, and I'm pretty regular, so I didn't think we'd have a problem getting pregnant. Never really anticipated that, but I really had no idea when I was ovulating, never tracked it, never did any of that stuff. So I went all out, y'all, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this too, started tracking all of my ovulation and kind of went a little crazy with it. There was lots of pee sticks.
Yes.
And I found out exactly when the day was, and so we were like, okay, let's do this. And of course, then you're like, well, let's keep doing this, so let's get it right. And I looked up all these different websites, all these different ways to do it, and so it became very, let's just say, not romantic. Right?
It was more of a task.
It was like a job.
Yes.
It was a job.
And I'm a guy saying that.
But basically, you know, then the whole 2-week wait thing happened. That was the worst. I don't know if you remember that now, but I was like in agony. I was like, okay, can I check yet? Can I check yet? Can I check yet? And, you know, do I feel different? It was crazy. And so I don't know how many pregnancy tests we went through because I wanted to start checking it like, what is it called? Post day 10 or whatever.
They aren't cheap. I'm gonna tell you right now.
They're not cheap. We spent so much money and it was so silly. But anyways, so we get to, I think I didn't see a line until maybe like right at 2 weeks after. And it was like the faintest line ever. And you're like, do I see it? Do I not? And of course he's like, I don't know if it's there. But sure enough, there was a line. So that was kind of crazy.
Surprise!
Surprise! So it definitely, it worked. However, I found out I was pregnant, I think it was a Monday, and about 1 week later, I actually had a miscarriage. So it was only, you know, I was not pregnant, then I was pregnant, and then I was not pregnant again in a matter of like a week span. So my miscarriage happened at about 5.5 weeks, and that again was something that we never anticipated. You know, we both live very healthy lifestyles. We just assumed like, this is it, we did it, and God had other plans. So I remember that day, you know, I'd had some spotting. There's no TMI on here, just gonna be real with you guys. I had some brown spotting, and that kind of made me nervous, but I also looked it up and I was like, oh, this is totally typical, normal. I hadn't even had it, you know, obviously I hadn't had a doctor's appointment yet, so I didn't have a doctor yet set up because we had just moved to our new house and our new city. And things started to get like a little bit more heavy and then started to turn a little bit more pink/red. And that's when I kind of had that pit in my stomach feeling of like, okay, I don't think this is right. And I think we reached out to a local birth center to try to find someone who could help us, because the doctors were kind of like, you know, if you're not a patient here.
They were rude.
They were rude. They were giving us the runaround. We found an amazing birth center, and the nurse practitioner called me and told me all the things that it could be. And basically then that night, it was a Monday night, things just get, you know, more and more heavy. And I didn't have a lot of cramping, honestly. I feel really blessed for that. But, you know, I woke up early in the morning, and definitely you could tell like it had happened, and I had passed a pretty significant clot looking thing. And so anyways, we called them, and we were pretty sure. She didn't really want to say the word miscarriage yet, but she brought me in, we did labs, and my HCG level was super low. So we checked it again in a week with a home pregnancy test. Sure enough, the line was completely gone. And so that was kind of crazy. I think we like moped around the house for like a week, just laid around, cried. And honestly, they told us to wait, like a month at least, to kind of see when you have your when you have your next period, because it had been a little while.
And so when they told us to wait, we really at that point were like, okay, should we take a step back and really reevaluate things, or should we try again and just say, you know what, it meant to happen? But what's really, not spoken about a lot is that 1 out of 4 women actually do have miscarriages.
Yeah.
And it's very common. It's just that people don't talk about it. And, that's something that when we actually shared our story, we had tons of people reach out to us, tell us that they had the same thing happen to them. Now they have with their miracle baby. Obviously, God is working for us, not to us. Yeah. He's for us, and that a lot of good things actually came out about us actually talking about it, which most people don't do.
Yeah, a lot of women, I think, suffer in silence. And I decided to share my story live on our social media platforms, on Facebook and Instagram. And honestly, I had no idea how common it was, and it was scary. And of course, it's, you feel all these different mixed emotions. You worry, is it something that I did wrong? Is it, am I able to have kids? Are people going to judge me for something? All of these things go through your head. But really, hearing other people's stories just made me realize like how common it really is. And then also it gave me a lot of hope, and it gave me a community. And honestly, if you're going through that situation, I would tell you, you don't have to share things that aren't comfortable to you, but opening up and letting people know, whether it's seeking out those communities on things like Instagram, where there's a lot of people that you don't necessarily know, they're not your close-knit people, which can be a little bit more comforting, I think. But there's so many communities out there. I connected with so many amazing communities that I would have never even known if I hadn't gone through that situation. And so that really helped us. The other thing I think that really helped us was we actually, through sharing our story, somebody recommended a devotional to us. And we started reading that. It's called In Due Time. Yeah. And the author is Carolyn, I'm going to mess it up. Is it Harris? She has an amazing Instagram page called Moms in the Making, and that community is so strong. They have conferences. There's all kinds of things I would say get plugged in if you want, and that's a great resource, In Due Time. Yeah. So we started reading that together every night, and it really, again, strengthened our faith through this process and our marriage. And, we leaned on each other a lot, and I think...
and I think it also made us realize that even though we want to be in control of everything... Yeah. We can't be at times. Yes. This is really the first time we tried having a baby, and it worked. Kind of. And then we realized that God does have a bigger plan for us. It's on His timeline, not our timeline. Yeah. And and you hear the stories about people that go years and 2 years and 3 years. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy because in high school they're like, don't have sex. The first time you have sex, you're gonna have a kid.
Get pregnant. I know. You think it's so easy, and then you find out it's actually not that easy.
It's not.
I think a healthy couple has a 30% chance every time you're basically ovulating to conceive, which is crazy. I never knew that. So. Yeah. Anyways.
And so then we said, okay, well, now they tell us to wait a cycle or 2 before we actually start trying again.
It wasn't even really on my mind, honestly. I was just kind of still kind of in shock, and dealing with all of that and trying to be positive as much as I could, and trying to trust again God's plan, and knowing that my body was, it knew something wasn't right. It detected there was some sort of, usually when it's out early, it's chromosomal abnormalities, and I was just trying to trust that process. Yeah. So, a couple weeks went by. We were starting to feel a little bit more like ourselves. We finally started going out and, doing things with friends and things like that. And one day we just decided to do it.
It was good for me. I don't know about her, but obviously it got the job done.
We didn't use protection because I didn't even have a period yet. So I was like, well, I'm not ovulating, I don't think. So whatever. Didn't think anything of it. Literally, it was one time.
The one time.
2 weeks later, something just did not feel right.
And honestly,
my boobs felt really weird, and I'm like, there's something going on. And I thought I actually saw my period coming, but I guess it wasn't. Maybe it was implantation, I'm not sure. It was a very light pink type of thing, but then it didn't really fully start. So I was like, whatever, that's weird, but I did have a miscarriage, so who knows. So anyways, because it felt weird, and it had actually been 4 weeks to the day of the miscarriage, I had an extra pregnancy test, and so I decided just to take one. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, whatever, let's just see. Okay, y'all, it didn't even take a minute, and the line was the darkest line that I had ever seen on any of the more than the test I had taken in the past, the month before, and literally I was in shock. Like the first thing that came to my mind is there's no possible way, and this is a miracle.
Which leads into
what?
You got a call that day.
I did get a call that day. So, well, I was gonna say first off, like I didn't know how to tell him because I was like freaking out.
That part.
And so I just left the the stick next to the coffee maker because that's where he goes first in the morning. And I was like, I think I even asked you, like, hey, did you make coffee? And he's like, what is this? What do you think it was?
Well, I was like, really, my first thing was like, no, this is not real. This can't be real. I was like, there's no way. Science says it can't happen.
Well, not necessarily, but we definitely didn't think it could happen.
Yeah, and so I was really in shock. I was like, is this real? Is this happening? Are we going to have what just happened again?
Yeah, that's
happen
true.
again with us? So I really wasn't trying to get too excited.
You were kind of just like...
I had my guard up.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And so I went to work that day, and it's so weird. Like, my mom and I have a good relationship, but we don't talk on the phone like that often. Not like his mom.
I'm Italian. What do you want?
We just don't talk that often. We can go a couple months without talking on the phone, and it's totally normal for us. But she called me out of the blue, and she was in the middle of renovating her kitchen. Like, she was busy. She's like, I don't honestly know why I had this urge to call you, but I had this weird miracle hit me, and something told me to call Sarah. And I was like, wait, what? And I had chills. I didn't tell her because I was at work. I didn't want my coworkers to hear. But I was just like, that's too crazy. Like, she had a sign. And so, of course, the next day I couldn't keep it a secret from her anymore. And I was like, listen, I have to tell you something. I got a positive pregnancy test again, and it literally was 4 weeks from the day of our miscarriage. Anyways, and we didn't know what was going to happen, obviously, but I had to let her know about that because it was just too crazy. So we've called it our miracle baby.
Yeah, because literally July 2nd we were pregnant. July 3rd we had a miscarriage. July 30th. We're pregnant again. So all within that month of July, it was a whirlwind, and it's truly a miracle.
Honestly, I will say the same thing started happening like right after. I started having the light brown discharge, and then it didn't get as dark as last time, but it was just there. And we kept doing our devotional. We were still doing that because it's a 60-day thing. And we prayed really hard. We're like, God, please take this away, because it gave me stress and anxiety every time I saw it, every time I went to the bathroom. And then one day, I would say after about a week and a half, it completely cleared up, and I haven't seen it since. So, so far, all is good. And now we are into the second trimester.
Yes.
With a healthy baby boy.
Yes, which is even crazier to think, because if you know how you get pregnant and how you have a boy versus a girl, we boys don't hang around too long in that area. The male
sperm likes to get there quick and then they die. So unless you time it right with ovulation, it's most likely going to be a girl. So the fact that it's a boy means that day that we just randomly decided to do it, it was like everything aligned. And so really what it taught us too was just to helped us realize to release control, to trust God's plan. And I would say that the other positives that came out of that experience were, we were a lot more grateful for this time. I don't think I would have not taken it as serious. Of course it's serious and I was excited, but I think it just makes me that much more grateful and realize like what a miracle every single life is and how many things have to come together for us to all be here. And I don't think I would have had that same perspective if it all just worked out perfectly the first time. So,
which I believe, going back to what we said, is that life happens for us, not to us.
Absolutely.
And so everything that we go through, He brings us through it to make us stronger, to make us realize something, to learn something.
Absolutely.
And
I'll tell you, during all of the first trimester struggle days, I always just said, people pray for the things that I want to complain about, so don't complain. And that really helps me get through a lot of it. So
a little bit.
Anyways, if you guys want to follow along with our journey, see what happens with baby, watch the progression, watch my bump grow, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and you'll get our weekly updates.
And also we have the blog, fitpregnancyandbeyond.com.
So you can see how I was trying and navigating staying healthy and fit during my pregnancy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.